Hey, welcome to Hydrangea Tarot. I'm Madi, and today I'll be doing a pick a card reading for the month of February 2019. As you can see, there are 3 piles for you to choose from. The first pile, number 1, has a rock on it. The second pile, pile 2, has a coin, and pile 3 has a pocket knife. So you can go ahead and pause the video to choose which pile you want, and then I'll put timestamps down below in the comments for you to skip ahead. Okay, so this is for pile number 1 with the stone or the rock. So the cards you have here is the Chariot in reverse, 7 of Cups in reverse, King of Wands in reverse, Wheel of Fortune, 3 of Swords in reverse, Queen of Swords in reverse, 8 of Wands, the Emperor, and the Page of Swords in reverse. So what I'm getting here is an overall feeling of kind of almost like it's a mixture of impulsiveness and perceived helplessness as well as defensiveness, particularly in this section here. So with the Chariot in reverse, it's kind of saying that you'll feel a sense of not being in control, because the Chariot is about, controlling a situation, moving forward with it and everything, but then in reverse it's like you feel like you don't have any control over that and you're just going forward into something that maybe you don't necessarily want to go into, but you feel like you don't have any control over it. And then here with the 7 of Cups in reverse, this card for me can have 2 meanings. One is that it in the upright, it's kind of about having all these different choices and not knowing which ones are best to take and everything. And then it's like, it's in reverse, it's basically saying it's about disillusionment, essentially. Like, figuring out which of these choices are nonsense and which are good and stuff like that. So it's about disillusionment. But the other meaning can also mean that in the upright you had all these choices, but now that it's in reverse it feels like you don't have any choice, which kind of connects to the Chariot here. There might be a situation that makes you feel like you don't have any control over what happens, so you just have to go with the flow and everything. So then that moves into the the King of Wands in reverse. And the King of Wands when he's in reverse, he's a very impulsive person. He will just do things without thinking about them, without considering the consequences and things like that. And it might be that because of these 2 cards, because of this helplessness you feel in a situation, you might be inclined to just kind of like give up and just go with whatever and do whatever you want without considering the consequences or anything, which might be kind of an unhealthy thing to do. But then here, the Queen of Swords in reverse and the Page of Swords in reverse, these characters are both quite sharp, I guess, because they're sword characters anyway. But like in reverse, it's like it's kind of like a defensive or like a painful sharpness. So it might be that if you find yourself in this situation, people might try to, point it out to you and be like, hey, you seem like you're kind of being unhealthy, or you seem like you need help or anything, or something, and you would be, maybe from frustration from this situation you'll face, your first instinct will be to be like, no, I'm not, I'm fine, or, you know, to be very defensive and distance yourself and kind of cut people off here. So that seems like quite a difficult situation, but in this area here we kind of see more positive cards, if you will. So yeah, so this is a difficult situation, but then here you have Wheel of Fortune, Three of Swords in reverse, Eight of Wands, and the Emperor. So Wheel of Fortune is about new things. It's about change, usually unexpected change, good fortune, things like that. It's just about, it's kind of like karma. And when it's in the upright, that's usually good karma. So it's kind of like, it's almost saying like, maybe after this situation, after you have to deal with this situation, you will move into this one where things will be more positive and stuff, but you have to go through this first, maybe to grow and know yourself better or things like that. But yeah, so you have the Wheel of Fortune here, so it basically says to expect change, especially, well, I guess I say expect change, but it's about unexpected change, so I guess expect change in the most unexpected times. And then here you have the Three of Swords in reverse, and of course in the upright, you know, the Three of Swords is about heartbreak, typically, but it's in reverse. So it's saying that any pain you may be feeling in your life, or frustrations or anything, if you focus on that, or if you identify them and you figure out what causes them, where they come from and everything, and you just focus on understanding them, you can start to learn how to grow from them, how to let them go, how to, you know, heal your pain from that, basically. And then here you have the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Wands is about movement. Like, you can really see in the picture here, it's like, you know, all these different wands basically shooting towards the horizon to new beginnings and stuff like that. So this card is usually, it's about, like I said, it's about movement, especially fast movement. But particularly in this situation, with this struggle, it might feel like you're at a standstill, like you're stagnant, you know? And basically, like we said here, you might be in a situation where you feel stuck, like you don't have an option, you just have to go with everything. But then here you see change and movement and stuff, so it's like movement will come, basically. Like, it might feel difficult here, but eventually, especially if you focus on this, you will eventually move forward and you will move past the struggles of this situation. And lastly, here you have the Emperor card, and the Emperor is kind of like opposing the King of Wands in reverse, because like we said, the King of Wands is very impulsive, you know, he just does things because he wants to without considering any consequences, whereas the Emperor is kind of, he's known for structure and self-control and everything. So it's, I think this can be seen as a sort of invite for you to, similar to this, identify parts in your life where you maybe are facing a lack of structure and a lack of balance, and identify them and then work on restoring structure and balance to those parts, like in this card. And yeah, I think that's basically it. But as I said before, this card is in the middle, so that tells me this is a kind of the main, what should be the main focus of your February month, is just to look at things in your life that cause you stress or pain or conflict or whatever, and think of ways you can kind of alleviate that I guess stress in your life. And like in these two cards where it's like, oh, you feel like you don't have a choice in something, unless it's a very, yeah, I mean, obviously some situations you literally don't have a choice, but a lot of times it's kind of just a mental thing, like you might feel stuck, but there is a way out. You just have to work on either manifesting the things you want or just to change your mindset, which takes time and it is difficult. But like I said, if you focus on this, then you'll start to get good karma, you'll start to get more structure in your life, and you'll be able to move forward. Okay, so that's it for pile 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and I'll see you later. Okay, so this is the reading for pile number 2 with the coin. Your cards are the Fool, 6 of Cups in reverse, Death in reverse, Knight of Cups in reverse, 9 of Cups, 5 of Cups in reverse, Queen of Cups, 5 of Coins, and Knight of Swords. So firstly, I just want to say this is a very water-based reading. Like, all of these cards are cups except for these 4. So either you're a water sign or a lot of people around you are water signs, or the situation that you'll be dealing with in February is just a very watery kind of situation. Like, it's probably very emotionally based. Yeah, so the overall kind of theme I get from this reading is that you'll be moving on from something in a good way, or you'll be moving into new things. Like I said, particularly in terms of like emotional watery matters. So how do I start? First, the Fool, which is like the ultimate move on card, or not move on card, the ultimate like going into new things card. The Fool is about jumping into new things as a clean slate, you know, starting new completely and wholly. Yeah, so that's good. And then you also have the 6 of Cups in reverse. Now the 6 of Cups normally is to do with nostalgia, kind of. So you can see in the card, it's kind of like, I don't know, to me it looks like a memory, because it's kind of dull and everything, but it's still nice. But it's in reverse, so that tells me that you're probably going to feel like letting go of nostalgia in a way, or moving on from things in your past, good or bad, like just in general letting go of things that happened in the past in favor for things that will happen in the future. Yeah, and then yeah, here I'm sorry, this reading is all over the place. I don't know what to like start and end. The 5 of Cups in reverse. This card is also about moving on, because in the upright it's kind of about loss usually, like, you know, 3 cups build 2 remain thing, but he's facing that way, so he's focusing on what was lost instead of what remains. But in reverse, it's like he shifted his gaze to the 2 cups remaining. So again, it's like moving on from loss and focusing on what you have instead of what you had. Yeah, and then if we go up here for these two characters, you have the Knight of Cups in reverse and the Queen of Cups. So this, we also have the Knight of Swords there, but we'll get to that later. The Knight of Cups in reverse is kind of, when he's upright, he's about idealism usually, or for me at least. Like he kind of represents that kind of I don't know, like he's like the rose-tinted glasses wearer for me, kind of. Like he sees everything very romantically and ideally and everything, which is fine, but not always the best, I guess. Like not in every situation. Sometimes there's a difference between seeing things positively and seeing things naively. So because he's in reverse, it's kind of telling me that you may feel like letting go of that idealism, and yeah, letting go of idealism in favor for more, I guess, realistic, to have a more realistic view of a situation. And that may also link in with the Six of Cups in reverse, which, like we said, is about letting go of nostalgia and such. So maybe this card is about letting go of nostalgia and everything and focusing on the present, which is more, more tangible and more realistic and everything. And this card also connects to the Knight of Swords. Now the Knight of Swords is about, boldly moving forward with factual, tangible knowledge and stuff like that. So it's kind of saying that you will feel the need to let go of all this nostalgia and stuff, let go of idealism, so you can move forward and jump into new things and move on from things you've lost using, bold, with bold new plans and stuff like that. Then here we have the Queen of Cups as well. Now, the Queen of Cups, I feel like for some of you, probably represents you. Not all of you, probably, because it's a general reading, but she might represent some of you. And the Queen of Cups obviously represents usually a water sign person, as well as a feminine person. And she's very in touch with her emotions, basically. She's very grounded in her emotions. She has good control over them. She's very aware of them. She understands them and everything. So I feel like by doing all this, by letting go of all these unnecessary things that aren't helping you, it will help you feel more grounded and more aware and more in touch with your emotions in a healthy way. But still, with that being said, there's some, obviously the Death card in reverse can't be ignored, because it's like always kind of a big deal in a reading. So I feel like with the Death card, the Death card in reverse, it usually means fear of changing, because in the upright, the Death card, it's about metamorphosis, it's about death and rebirth, especially rebirth, But then when it's in reverse, it's like you're not letting something die, or you're scared to let something die. So although you have all of these notions to move forward and, move into new things, you might still fear, what might happen. Like, what if this goes wrong? What if it's not meant to be? What if, what if? And then you feel that dread and that kind of anxiety to move forward and stuff like that. And the reason why you might feel that is you might fear being left out in the cold, in a sense. Like, what if I move forward with all these things and I let go of all these old things that don't hold me that don't serve me anymore, but they're still like a source of comfort, you know, their familiarity. And then you go into the unknown and you find out, oh, like this didn't work out. Oh, and now you let go of all these things, and you know, you think of that, you imagine that situation, and it brings you fear. So it's a very long-winded explanation, but like basically what I'm saying is just like, it's kind of, I get a feeling of like a great want to move forward, but also a touch of fear. But the thing is, like, it's from this reading, the fact that there are basically just two little cards that says that although you feel that fear and it will be very real, I think your drive to move forward will be greater in the end, which is good, because from these cards it's quite like a positive thing. I can't tell you what you're going to move into, because tarot can't be that exact, but yeah, I'll have trust in you that it's probably something good, and if it's something you want to go into, and that's always a good thing. And it's something, oh, I forgot to mention the middle card, the main card. The thing that you will probably want to move into is what the Nine of Cups represents, which is kind of like emotional happiness and, you know, getting what you want, having a wish fulfilled. So maybe what I'm getting is that you see this and you know you want this, and you've maybe tried to manifest it in the past, and now you're ready to go forward and take that leap to achieve this. But obviously we're all human and you have that fear with you. But yeah, like I said, I get a good feeling from this. Like, I don't get a negative thing from going forward with this, because it feels like if you don't go forward and you stay where you are, you're playing into this, the Death card in reverse, and that's just staying in something that should be dead but isn't, because you're not letting it die. And then if you go forward and it does go bad, you know, if you do get the Five of Coins, which I feel like is not, like, I don't feel like it's a predictor. I think it's more of a mental thing. Like, I think it's more of a fear than a this is going to happen. It's more like, what if this happens, you know? But even if this happens, I feel like if it happens, it's meant to happen, and it won't, what do you say? Like, it won't, I guess, crush you, basically, you know? Like, it won't ruin you. It will just be a hardship you have to face for a while to achieve this. So if anything, if this does happen, then this needs to happen to get to this. And yeah, I feel like your overall focus of February will just be getting to this, manifesting this, your emotional wish, or your emotional dream, or whatever. And yeah. I don't know if you'll achieve it in February. I hope you do. Yeah, I think that's it for pile number 2. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and I'll see you later. Okay, pile number 3 with the pocket knife. Your cards are Eight of Coins in reverse, the Fountain, Page of Wands, the Devil in reverse, Six of Wands, Nine of Coins, the World in reverse, Ace of Wands in reverse, and Eight of Swords. So, interestingly, I get a bit of it almost feels like a storyline running kind of in a spiral like this. And I'm not sure if that applies to everyone, but I'll explain it in a minute. So, the overall feeling I get from this reading is it might be to do with some kind of creative venture, or maybe like a hobby, or maybe even a career that you're trying to, I guess, master or just manifest or get to work and everything. Because I get a lot of, first of all, there's many wand cards, well, not many, there's these wand cards, which is usually, it's about, motivation to do things, energy, creative bursts of energy, things like that. So what I get though is that there's like a anxiety in this reading, especially here in this line here, because you have the Eight of Swords mainly. It's about being mentally trapped, being stuck in your head, full of what ifs and fears of what could go wrong and everything. And then there's also the Ace of Wands, which I feel like kind of, because the Ace of Wands, when it's in upright, it's to do with a burst of energy, but in reverse I feel like you maybe don't have that. Like, you feel like because of all this fear, you've almost convinced yourself that it won't work, so why put in the energy, or why get the motivation to do things? So maybe you're struggling finding motivation to go forth with this plan you have. And then linked with this, kind of across the cards, or across from the Eight of Swords is the Eight of Coins in reverse. Both are eights, but this one's in reverse. So the Eight of Coins in reverse is kind of to do with, similarly to the Ace of Wands in reverse, it's about kind of lacking energy for doing something, like not having as much motivation to do something, so you don't put a lot of effort into it. You just do the bare minimum, you just do what you have to get by, but it's not as good as you could do it. But because you don't have that energy, that motivation, because of this fear, this mental trap, you feel like either you're scared to put in more effort, or you just don't have the energy to. And it might be, if we look at the World card, the World in reverse, it might be that it might be that you're scared of failing, in a way, because the World in reverse, it's not quite about failure. The World card, when it's in upright, it's to do with completion of journeys or cycles or things. In reverse, it's more like either the cycle is left unfinished, or the cycle ends in an unsatisfactory way. So what I get from this is either you're scared that if you go forward with this plan you have, you might get unsatisfactory results, or it can mean that you because you're not putting in a lot of effort into the situation you're in, you might have plans unfinished, basically. Or maybe in the past you may have frequently struggled with maintaining the motivation needed to complete something. So you have several uncompleted projects in the past, and because of that you fear that with this thing that you're working on, it'll just end up like all those unfinished projects. However, here we have the devil in reverse. Now the devil is about being, it's similar to the Eight of Swords, kind of. It's about being constrained. It's like being trapped in a situation, but it's usually like a perceived entrapment. Like, it's not actually being trapped, it's feeling trapped. But here in this reading, it's in reverse, which tells me that you'll be moving on, or at least trying to move on from this feeling of fear and trappedness, you know, of like mental struggle and like, what if this doesn't go well, what if all these things happen, you know? You'll be trying to move on from that, because I feel like even though you have this uncertainty and this fear and this kind of lack of energy, lack of motivation, you still really want to achieve this goal of yours. So you might find that you will somehow get the motivation to move on from these fears and detach yourself from this negative energy in favor for achieving your goal. And I feel like I feel like you will achieve it, or at least you will be moving into the right path towards achieving it. Because like here you have the Fountain card. Now the Fountain card is unique to this deck. This is the Fountain Tarot deck of cards, and the Fountain card basically means being aware of where you are in the universe, you know, being aware that you are part of it, mainly, you know, just being in touch with everything around you. And maybe by becoming in touch with your place in your surroundings, you might realize that with this plan you have a real, I want to say, knack for it, or you have potential to succeed in it. Like, this doubt you feel isn't grounded in a lot of, you know, facts. It's just like this almost feels, you know what, this card feels like imposter syndrome feelings, you know, like a lot of people get it where even though they're good at something, they feel like they're just lucky, or they shouldn't actually get the achievements they did for it, because it, you know, they convince themselves that they're not worth the things that they get, like the achievements they get for this thing. But the truth is, once you reflect on yourself and your place in the surroundings, you might realize that actually you are worth it, and you are talented, and, you know, just you're able to go forth with this thing and have it work out. So you don't really have to be afraid of this. And then, yeah, once you realize that, I feel like with the cards here, you have the Page of Wands, which is moving forward enthusiastically and with, you know, lots of energy, almost like a childlike energy, you know, with strong motivation to go explore new things and work for things and, you know, see it as something like an adventure, a fun new adventure to explore. And then here you have the 9 of Coins, which is about kind of it's like individual mastery of something, like, or what's the word, like being successful on your own as an individual. And like I said here with this card, it kind of links in the sense that it's almost saying that when you realize that in your place in the world, this might be your purpose, or this might be something you're really talented in, and it might be something worth sharing with others, you will get this motivation to move forward. And finally, 6 of Wands in the middle of a reading, the main focus, I guess. 6 of Wands is basically about victory and triumph and succeeding. So what I feel like this reading is saying is in February you'll deal with a situation that will involve something you're very passionate about, but you will have a lot of self-doubts. However, if you let go of those, or if you work on letting go of those, because it's not like, okay, well, I'll just stop worrying, it's fine now, yay, like, obviously it doesn't work like that, but if you start focusing on this, and you start recognizing when you're maybe self-sabotaging yourself, or dragging yourself down, if you recognize when you do that, then you can learn how to let go of it, and move on from it, and have a more clear image of yourself and your place in the rest of the world and the universe and everything, your place in existence, in your reality. And yeah, if you do that, I think you will find it a lot easier to move forward with what you want to do, what you want to succeed at. This card. So yeah, basically in February I think your main focus will be getting here, and it's quite a long little road to get there, but I feel like you'll be able to do it, especially with this card, because this is quite a powerful card. Like, this isn't just like, you know, letting something simple go. It's being unchained. It's being freed from something that has really dragged you down. Something like this. And yeah, I think that's about it for pile number 3. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and I'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching my February pick a card reading. I hope the readings resonated with you, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to learn more about me, I'll leave some links in the description about my website and, you know, the deck I used and things like that. So do check that out, and I'll see you next time.